We're going to break the session today into two clear parts. The first part, Reetika is going to talk about some of the emerging careers and the kind of skills that are required for those emerging careers. As I mentioned in the beginning, all of you are unique individuals, and therefore just make sure that you are absorbing the facts as per who you are and therefore asking the relevant questions. In the second half of the session, I would be talking about how you can link your passion to some of the emerging careers and therefore give you some kind of a framework if you can actually work on those passion areas to link it to emerging careers. So that would be it. I would hand over to Reetika here to talk about the first bit, which is what are the kind of emerging careers and what is her point of view in kind of finding it through the passion. Reetika, over to you.
Thanks, Debojit. So just to start with the first slide, it is very important to know where you're heading and what you want in the future. So when I started giving my example, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a lawyer, right? But was I passionate about it? No, not exactly. So when I grew and I understand that I love talking to people, I love interacting with people, and that's the passion that I hold, is when I picked a profession, which is human resources, right? So it's very important to know how can you prepare and work for future and what you can't see right now. So it's a first important thing is, as Debojit correctly said, that you have to discover your passion. In parallel, you have to determine the demand, what exactly the industries are looking for, what is the world looking for. Do use research and make a plan accordingly. Become qualified, which means like you have to do right education, pick right skills, and get certified, and be flexible because there'll be a lot of ups and downs. And one of the example is the global pandemic. So it has shown us how different career paths and companies have grown and can be altered. For example, one company could be experiencing a rapid growth, the other may be going through a survival mode. And to name few is like Amazon, they grew 41% higher in revenue in 2020 itself, where Uber had a 21% loss. It's because the entire pandemic changed the entire lens for us. So just to make it ensure that you have the right clarity and how you can move forward, like what kind of emerging careers that you want to pick, the next slide will talk about how you can be prepared better for yourself in future career growth. So it's important for you. The first part is research the growth trends. So it's important you should know the projected growth trends that you're looking forward for as a desired future and career. So it will help you out in mapping your career trajectory. Find out the different careers levels that you have and you can accomplish to make a next career level move. For example, it's very important to know what are the kind of pay scales this company is going to offer. So you can go to payscale.com or salary.com to understand the earning potential and help you with the future interviews and salary negotiations. It's very important because if you don't feel like motivated working in a company because you feel you're not paid well, you will not be ever passionate about that job. It's very important. Secondly, finding the potential employer. It's very important for all of us, including being experienced or freshers in the market. It is very important for all of us to understand what are the current potential employer, what is the market in terms of competitors. So it is important to read about the companies so that you can know what benefits, what flexibility and options you have while you take up that employment. If you're not even looking out, just go through their job description, go through the company website, understand. Very importantly is Glassdoor. You should look at Glassdoor reviews, how the company is doing well, because they're honest feedback coming from the employers, employees, and how the company is doing well, and what are the improvement areas for that matter. Talk to other professionals. So it is equally important to know, for example, I'm in HR fraternity and I'm looking for a next career growth. I will talk to people in different companies to understand what are the roles that they're looking for. What are the, what kind of company they're looking for investment from a candidate standpoint. Interacting and networking is equally important. That will keep you, upgraded with your future career plans. And it could be virtual, it could be in person, connect through LinkedIn. There's, I get a lot of invites from students that, what are the fields that I should be looking at? I'm an MBA graduate, maybe in HR, finance, and marketing. It's marketing going to pick up, or you got HR there, any potential hiring going on. So they look forward for such, areas that we can guide them. And it's very important for you to know, if you're stepping into a career or looking for change immediately, what are the companies, what are the professionals talking about? It's very important to have that kind of connect. Then learn, fourth thing is learning. Self-learning is an important factor for all of us. I would say, if I don't pick up a reading and understand the stats, I will not be able to understand what recruiting industry working in. And I have been mentored by a lot of people, including Vishal. The first thing I was asked to do is learn, learn, learn. So you have to learn, because unless you learn, you will not able to, upgrade yourself. What is the current trend going on? What are the expectation out of the company from you? So you can go through podcasts, blogs, YouTube content, any books that is related to your interest, which is your passion in place, right? Also, volunteer for part-time and interning programs if you can. Also, it is very important for professional development yourself. For with example, Coursera, Udemy, LinkedIn Learning. So these kind of certifications. So for example, I am looking for recruiting analytics. I could be very bad in Excel and analytics, but if I take such courses, it gives an impression on my resume that I want to build my career in this state, in this career, and I would like to upgrade myself there. So it is equally important to, take such trainings, certifications, earning a degree, taking classes, and that will help you to professionally develop in your career itself. Now, evaluate your personal brand. It is important for you. Where do you stand? Unless you are not clear about what is your self job search look like, you may have to be very clear what is required out of you. So what and how you portray yourself. So how do we portray ourselves is our resumes, right? If our resumes are not talking what we have done, we'll not be able to take the next step. So I've seen a lot of times being in recruiting, people copy paste resumes and they don't even look at it, what actually is written on it. And then they goof up in the interview process, because when we ask questions, it's not related to what they have mentioned in the resume. So you are yourself in personal brand in front of a interview, your employer. So these are few open roles. I would say the marketing is hiring, the industry is hiring. These are few hot skills, I would say, as a recruiter, in cloud computing, marketing, cloud content production, people and culture, which is more of HR driven, data and artificial intelligence, product development, engineering, and sales. But I've listed it down to 7 to 8 top hot skills and roles in my next slide, which are actually the current trend and emerging roles that we are looking at hiring across industry. If I even look at Glassdoor, I look at LinkedIn. So mostly these are the roles that the companies are focusing to hire. And this is post-pandemic, why these skills are required more. So the first role that I talk about is frontline customer service or e-commerce. This role is more client interaction, it is more response to customer service. So it has grown to 73% year in 2021, because if we look at it, what we have done last year is online shopping. Everything was online, whatever, be it food, be it groceries, be it clothes, everything was done through online e-commerce platform. And to handle those queries and everything, we had customer service. The next role that we have which is emerging in the market is mortgage experts. So a lot of people unfortunately went through a downtime with their mortgage. If they have bought a house and they have to pay home loans, so they were, and the banks became really flexible. So handle such queries, we had these roles picking up very high, and it became 59% higher as compared to 2019 and 2020. Very important role which played a massive role in 2020 was the healthcare supporting staff. With the pandemic, we really needed these people to look after our families, and especially it increased 35% in demand since 2019. So physicians, patient education, nurses. These were the ones, roles that are in demand and still in demand, because with the situations currently going on with the different variations of COVID that we have, this role is going to be continuously picking up year on year. Another role which is really as a top skill in a lot of company is business development representative or sales professionals. Now, each and every company looks for a revenue generation, and this is the role which gets the revenue. There's the sales representatives. We call them inside sales, we call them direct sales, we call them account managers. So these are the roles which are picked because if company has to make money, these are people who go front end, talk to the clients, pitch the, whether you're in software, whether you're in insurance, be it any industry. Without sales professional, you can't think of making a profit, because they're the one who are actually selling the product for you. Now, another thing, another important role was diversity experts. Now, every organization is more focused on getting different diversity, be it especially able, be it ethnicity, be it the gender. So these are the roles which are really hot in the market, because every organization is looking at equal pay. Every organization is looking at, having the balance when it comes to diversity. And, we have diversity experts. We have diversity leaders. And if you talk about be Microsoft, be Salesforce, you will go to their, even Siemens for that matter, you go to a company website, you will have a especially diversity program and hiring that we do, keeping that in mind. So these are teachers, organization development folks, and who are actually diversity is also part of HR, but it's a community which has different people who talk about and who run this program in terms of diversity experts. Digital marketing experts. So since 6 years ago, digital marketing has really picked up. So roles like product marketing, digital marketing strategy, brand management, this has been growing year on year 33%. And so once the sales is done, the product penetration is very important for any organization. That's when these roles come in picking up at a rate 33% year on year. Now, the additional role which played a massive change, for us was educational professionals. Since there was a lockdown and we wanted to continue with the education, teachers, professors, they started taking classes online. And this demand, and with work, and because a teacher it's a different structure altogether while you're in person in school or when you are taking classes from home. So the room size, the size of a batch depends upon the need, and to manage everything. So the education professional demand really got higher, and it was 20% increase year on year. So these are the roles which are picking up in the market. Now, again, referring to the marketing side of it, content writers, editors, creators, blogger, podcasters. So this role has been in demand since from year on year, 49%. And this is video editing, because everything that we see online or we do what we go through on social media, these are the one driving it back in for us. So these are the couple of roles, and this next slide we talk about few more roles like life coach, fitness coach, professional coaches. These are the one who are, and entrepreneurs. They give coaching on different skills that you need for, and these are primarily the mentors on different skills that we're looking at. Software developers, engineers. The tech has really picked up since 2020. Because with the pandemic, companies have changed their lens in terms of technology. I can relate to Cement itself. Cement being a software company into event management software. All our events, so we help event planner or event organizer for their events, and they use a software to organize events, which was earlier pre-pandemic. It was all in-person live events. So you will attend that event, go there. But with the pandemics being a social lockdown, everywhere there was a lockdown and there was no social distancing. There was social distancing. We have to change our model to virtual platform. So we, moved our software from a live event to a virtual event platform in just 2 months. And we could have not done that. Otherwise, companies takes 2 years to revamp a product. We did it in 2 months. So these are skills in web developer, full stack engineer, front end developer, game developer. And this has been increasing 59 to 60% year on year with the demand, because technology changes every 6 months. Therapists, this increased specifically during pandemic, because work from home was not easy for everyone. People went through, had gone through different stages in life, during this pandemic, and this role played a lot of support for a lot of people, because a lot of companies had these sessions. They invited therapists, they invited psychiatrists, they invited a lot of doctors to give them sessions around how they can manage work and home while working from home. User experience professionals, this increased from 20% as a demand. And this is more specifically whatever you view on website, how and you move, it's a navigating page to page, be it any, be it LinkedIn for that matter. So that experience of a user in a website, it's what they do. Data science specialist, this is something which is the hottest skill, I would say, in every organization. Artificial intelligence and machine learning. So these two are very close to each other as a skill. And if any company which is a software developer, it's by default they will be looking at these skills for, because that's the next version as an emerging career for everyone. So these are the hot picks that you should look at, and how you can prepare well for yourself is we'll be talking in the next slide. So you have to identify first your passion, and how you can do it is by experimenting, right? Different things. You need to understand what your interest lies. And I can give an example, I can relate to it from a movie called Dil Chahta Hai, Three Idiots, not Dil Chahta Hai, Three Idiots. There was a character called Farhan who was forced to do engineering by his parents' choice, but he wanted to be a photographer by profession. That was his passion. And when he realized that engineering is not what he would like to do, he spoke to his father and he wanted to pursue photography as a passion. And he did well. And that showed in the picture. But that's what his passion like for. So you need to see what your interest lies, and if you have enough to learn around it. So you have to deep dive, learn everything that you can learn about that subject. For that, you need to invest a lot of time. And if you don't feel like that you have the right knowledge or understanding about it, stop and reiterate this cycle again. So that's how you can build your career, identifying your passion. So the different roles, right? 62% of people have technology as a passion. There are 48% of people who take project management, which is process management, PO, as their passion. There are 47% of people who are more focused on government policies, food safety modernization. That 36% of people who are more focused on customer service, sales, in communication side of it. And then 12% of people are in other roles, which could be, hospitality, it could be aviation. So these are the career, the roles that you can think of, and how you can do deep dive and understand your passion. So to talk more about passion and how you can relate it to your career, I will pass it to Debojit.
Sure, Reetika. Very interesting. I think the previous slide where you spoke about all the new upcoming careers. I just have a question myself before I start my bit. Which is the one that you personally relate to the most out of the careers that you showed? I think you showed us a wide array of careers, and anyway, you are also in, let's say, very close to the HR domain, and one or two has an overlap with that domain also. Which one do you relate the most, and how did you realize that's your passion?
So I would say recruiting is like sales. So I would relate to business development and sales professional as my career, because we sell a role, a company to candidates, right? So I would say my role relates very pretty much to BD, business development. And as I said, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a lawyer, and not nothing is any profession, but when I got to know that you lawyers, you have to lie also. But that is when I changed my mind, and I want to be connected to people. I want to speak to people. I mean, want to learn and network with people. And HR is that platform, right? You don't just work on silos. You talk to people, you meet people. And actually, in this 17 years, I have met so many candidates. I have spoken to so many leaders. I've been trained by them. I think I got my passion when I joined post my graduation. I joined a company as summer hobby, and I realized that I was selling credit cards, and I realized talking to people and building that network is something I'm looking for. That is the passion I got interested in, and I picked post my completing my graduation. I did MBA in HRS and marketing, and took my career to recruiting. So that was the passion for me.
Got it. Very interesting. Shavik, you have a question. I think you can unmute yourself and ask.
Hi, ma'am. This
I
is Shobit Mukherjee. So basically, just wanted to understand, like, since the pandemic situation has changed a lot of things. Okay, so what do you think? Like, if I talk about in career domain, there has been a shift from, let's say, from physical to technology. So what do you think, which career perspectives are more to come into picture now, which were not there earlier, post before this pandemic situation?
See, two careers that I see which are picking really well is, one is healthcare professionals. We always had doctors or healthcare supporters and nurses, but we never see that profession is very important for us, right?
Right.
And these people have supported so well, and without even looking at considering that their life was at stake.
Mhm.
Everyone was fighting the battle.
Uh-huh.
Second is customer service. So when I
Customer service.
joined, I'll be very honest. When I joined, when I moved, completed my graduated, and it was BPO was a boom, like
Mhm.
Genpact and Wipro, and
Yeah, big time, yeah.
yeah. So, and I used to see these people. Why should I join a BPO? I have intellect. I should take a career in MBA or do something better. But now
Mhm.
I hire these skills. I know how difficult this job is,
Right, right,
what
right.
kind of skills we need to hire this role, how well they speak to our client, how they manage our clients so well, and the CSAT talks about it. So
Mhm.
it's not an easy job. It's not a job which is a cakewalk, right?
Definitely,
So
definitely,
these
definitely.
two skills, and obviously technology, as I said, technology changes every 6 months.
Right, right.
uh, and so to brush up yourself, if you're part of technical roles, you need to brush up your skills every 6 months, what is changing as a landscape for you.
Mhm.
But
And
these two, yeah, sure.
any inputs for, like, who are pursuing their career in, like, as you already mentioned, business development, sales, and all that thing, because there has been shift at that part as well, on that section as well.
Sorry, business development, can you repeat your question?
I'm asking that, like, how this pandemic thing, what should we do to change in the sales perspective or business development perspective? Because a lot of sales has been changed because of this pandemic thing. Earlier, there was a lots of physical meeting, but in lots of sales domain that we see, a lot of physical interaction is very less these days as compared to earlier. So what kind of shift we need to do to, so that we excel in this section, like in sales and business development?
See, I think with virtual, the only thing is that you're not able to meet in person, but the
Right.
strategy remains the same, right? Your
Ha.
connection remains the same.
Hmm.
And the only thing I would say, the engagement has to improve, right?
Ha.
It is
Right.
very important. So for us as a recruiter also, we faced a lot of challenge initially when the virtual mode started, and we are not able to meet the candidate in person, we can't evaluate, but engagement helped us improving that connection with the candidate. So how frequent, what is the frequency that you engaging with the candidate? So same goes for any client also. What is your engagement? So that's how you can improve in comes to the virtual mode.
Right.
Have virtual coffee meets, if not in person.
Yes. Getting it, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thanks, Shobik, for your question.
Thank you, Shavik. It was good to hear your voice after a long time. Hope you're doing well. There's also us behind you creating noise. Hope that is also doing well. But we'll get to the second half of the session now, which is about linking your passion to the kind of careers that Reetika spoke about. Reetika kind of opened up a lot of conversations on multiple career options, and I'm sure people in the group who have different career choices till now would now be thinking, okay, is this the right career choice or do I switch? But when you're making that decision or making that thought, there are some things to keep in mind so that you're able to therefore effectively link the passion bit. First of all, I think I would want to break down how your careers normally look like. And if you're able to relate to this pyramid, I have spoken about it in one of the crack sessions before, you'll be able to understand what I am pointing at. Data says that 70% people are normally in the achievement phase in their careers. Now, what that means is this is the phase where someone, a business development professional like a Shobik, is always trying to do his numbers or do her numbers. Or even, for example, an HR professional, an ops professional, a finance professional is trying to make sure they achieve their targets, they achieve their KPIs and KRAs that have been given to them, and are constantly hungry to do better and better to prove to the world that they are good at what they do. Now, normally this is the achievement phase. In this phase, we are not really thinking too much, but we are very aggressive because we want to prove a point. And after we have learned the art well, it's more about achieving. Now, as I said, 70% people normally lie in this particular bracket. The second bracket, where about 23% people reach, is the mastery phase. Now, why this mastery phase is important is you kind of reach a point above where you have already achieved certain things in life, and you feel that I am more or less good at what I do, and I therefore don't have to prove it to everyone every day. Now, this phase, you normally have a team with you. At this phase, you normally become a mentor and a guide. I think Reetika was using the same words for Vishal. This is the phase when you feel that I should now become more a master or a teacher of the art than trying to prove that I am good at it at all times. Now, most leaders or managers in the organization should ideally be in the mastery phase because they are not necessarily even with their team members competing. People who are not able to become people leaders from individual contributors struggle in this phase because even with their teams, they're trying to prove a point. They're trying to say, I can do this job better than you. And therefore, they don't move into the mastery phase very well. So this is the second phase. Normally 23% people lie in this phase. The last phase that very, very few people get in, by data says about 7%, is the purpose phase. Now, this is the phase where you talk about the mission that you have in life or for your organization. What is the purpose with which you are doing what you're doing? If you hear Apple selling anything or positioning anything, they will always look at the purpose, right? They say we challenge the status quo, and that's why all our products challenges the status quo when we make something. Now, that's the purpose phase where CEOs of organizations, of CXOs of organizations talk about why we are doing what we are doing. I don't mean anywhere that you just have to be the CEO to get into the purpose phase. You can actually still be the janitor of the organization and be in the purpose phase where you actually realize the purpose of what you do. This is beyond mastery. This is reaching a phase where you are able to tell people why you do what you do and why they should do what they do, rather than getting the how part of it. This is more the why part of it. Now, the first thing to figure out in your career is in which phase are you in? Are you still going to sleep every day night thinking, yaar, aaj ka target nahi hua? today I couldn't achieve the target? Or are you going to sleep every day thinking, I couldn't help 4 more people in the company today who would have maybe done better if I would have helped them? Or are you going to sleep thinking, I couldn't explain properly to all my stakeholders why I took that step, and therefore I'm not able to progress fast? If you answer that question, I think you will answer the position at which you are in right now in the hierarchy pyramid. And this is the professional hierarchy pyramid. I think a lot of you would have already known the personal hierarchy pyramid, which is the Maslow's hierarchy. This is the professional one. Now, what helps here is the power of hobby. I have mentioned I am a big fan of people having hobbies, because I think hobbies help you move from the achievement phase to the mastery phase easily. Now, imagine you have a hobby of waking up in the morning every day and exercising for 1 hour. Now, when you actually go to work, or in these days sit for work at home at 9 a.m. or 10 a.m., at that time you're not trying to kill everyone to prove a point. You have already had the achievement from the morning of finishing your exercise for 1 hour, and therefore when you reach work, you more feel that I would want to help everyone today rather than proving a point to everyone, because I already feel content. I've done my part of achievement. Most great people have the power of hobby that has helped them before. Now, if I show you some pictures on the screen and I ask people the names of the people that you see on the screen, can you guess the name of the person in the chat box? If anyone knows the name of the person that I'm showing on the screen. You can write in the chat box, or you can also unmute and speak. I think, yeah, Reetika writes correctly, is Angelina Jolie. And I'm not sure if all of you are aware, she was very, very fond of daggers. Now, obviously, that's not something famous, but she said that whenever I needed my own time, needed something I would want to do alone, I would want to spend my time in my dagger room, where I've collected daggers from all across the globe, right? Sounds whatever, but that's the hobby that she spoke about. Who is this gentleman on your screen? Some examples from Hollywood, but it would be good if you're aware of those names. Anyone aware of who this is on the screen?
I forgot his name, but I know the picture. He was in the movie Forrest Gump.
Yeah, so Abhishek says no, he doesn't know. Ritika says yeah, he was in the movie Forrest Gump. I'll wait for maybe 4-5 seconds more to get to the right answer. Kiran says he doesn't know him. Seems like a difficult guy, but yeah, one of the most famous guys in Hollywood. Tom Hanks. Priya is right, and if you would guess what his favorite time pass was, it was to collect typewriters. It still is. And when he was collecting the Oscar for the same movie Ritika spoke about, Forrest Gump, he mentioned that on the Oscar stage, that other than everyone, all other people that I want to thank, I also want to thank my typewriters. So that's this must be very difficult. If Tom Hanks was difficult, so I'll give you the answer. This is Johnny Depp, and he was fond of dolls, or is fond of dolls. Again, a fantastic actor. And this person, all of you would know, right? Can you guess the name of this person? This one should be quick on the chat box.
Albert Einstein.
Yeah, I think Shobhik is right. It's Albert Einstein, and very famously, he was fond of, I think you can see on the screen, right? So, and also he said that it helped me take my mind off the time I would give to every experiment. Whenever I failed in my experiments, I thought I'll spend some time with my guitar and I would feel better. What I'm trying to say, guys, is that if you want to succeed in this pyramid that I showed you last, it's important that a hobby is constantly helping you move from achievement, from mastery to purpose. So, and that's why the hobby slide very important. And I'll come to eventually linking your passion to your career. But no passion or no career can happen unless you are enjoying your career. And it sounds sometimes contradictory, because normally people think that if they're doing a job, it's very difficult to also think I can enjoy my job. I mean, what does that mean anyway? So I'll give you some tips, but But I think these are things that will help you. Firstly, learning happens when you're uncomfortable but not stressed. A lot of people say that अब तो मैं comfortable हूँ इस job में, so maybe एक साल और 2 साल और बिताऊंगा या बिताऊंगी. That's not something that that's where learning is happening. Learning is happening when you push yourself to a new role, to a new department, to a new project, and there you start kind of learning the tricks of the trades again, and therefore become slowly better at it. And while you're doing it again and again and again, you're expanding your career span, and therefore you now know 10 things rather than 2 things over a career. But if it's giving you stress, then that's not worth it. It should give you excitement, and that's important. Enjoying your career also means you don't have to fight the small daily battles. I mean, all of you can name one person at work who is always interested in winning that battle of the day. Not required, right? A lot of times smart people go forward because they know which battles to leave and which battles to fight, and thus don't fight the small battles. I think planning upgradation interventions in your career, I think Ritika spoke about it. Our careers now these days have become very multi-dimensional. Before it was what? Study in school till 18 years, study for 4 to 6 years for graduation and post graduation, work for 35 years, retire, and then plan your post retirement hopefully after that. Now it's very different, right? Now after you study, you work, then you again study, then you again work, then you take a break, a sabbatical, then you work, then you study, then you work. So therefore, unless you're constantly planning upgradation learnings in your career, you're not progressing. And that also is a part of enjoying your career, because you're going back to the drawing board again and again. I think avoiding negative people also becomes very important. There will be a person whom you will love talking to because they will come to you and gossip. Once, twice, thrice, after a point, you'll realize maybe this person is not helping my positivity. So understand those people around you at work and distance yourself smartly so that you are at least in a positive vibe, a positive zone. I think width and depth becomes important. Over a career, you can look for both, but you have to be clear what you're looking for, right? If you want to spend your maximum time, let's say shopping in business development or sales, he has to decide, okay, this is where I want to become an expert, and therefore I'm going deeper and deeper. So maybe different sectors within business development over a period of time. He can also decide to go for width, which means that he goes into different career options, and therefore tries marketing also, tries HR also, tries product also, and then decides what he wants to do. So width and depth both can be important. Also realizing when it's becoming static in the role is important. It can come after 1 year, it can come after 5 years also, but when the learning stops, it's the best time to move on. And as I keep saying, there are 12 jobs that you will do in your career, so the average is about 3 years, and therefore that's kind of the sweet spot when you should be considering, is the learning still happening. Less than 2 years is too early. More than 3 years you have to kind of think and then continue. Choose a manager who grooms and teaches you. Very difficult in organizations to choose managers, but if you get one, it's always helped. So I'm going to talk about in the next 2-3 minutes about some standard rules of a career, right? The first rule, I think you can only get it from experience. So right now, if you don't have enough experience, just believe me. Remember, career is a marathon and not a sprint. Now imagine you are going to work for 30 to 35 years. Every day is not going to be great. Every month is not going to be great. Every quarter is not going to be great. But if the fundamentals of learning and mentorship and growth is happening, you should be patient in the tough times also. I've been in a startup almost in the last 12 years of my career. I've seen ups and downs in the startups multiple times. And I've seen partners, colleagues feeling the pressure. I myself felt the pressure many times that maybe this is not the right way we are moving. It's important in those times to remember what's your midterm goal for your career as well as for the organization, and have faith that this is a marathon, not a sprint. And therefore, if I see light at the end of the tunnel, I continue. So that's the first rule I would advise all of you. The second rule is to be a lifelong learner. Now, there is natural self-motivation if you're learning. It's a funny thing. If you don't expose yourself to learning, after a point you start feeling demotivated even in a good job, because you feel it's the same rut, or the same thing is going on and nothing changes, because you yourself are not exposing you to more learning opportunities. If you keep doing the same thing again and again and again and again, you are yourself going to tell yourself, I feel demotivated and discharged currently. So be a lifelong learner, very important. Now it nurtures curious minds, it opens minds and increases wisdom, and very important part of your career progress. Next, very important is to constantly execute and doing things faster and better. I think you can't just keep thinking and planning. I think very beautifully said by the famous Greek scientist Confucius, you can't build a reputation of what you are going to do. You can't tell people, मैं ये करने वाला हूँ, and therefore people say, oh wow, I'm going to love you from today. People love you because you have already done something that you're going to say, are going to do. And therefore, career rule 3 is about executing what you are going to do rather than talking and planning about it all the while. And thus, if you want to grow fast, it's about execution. Career rule 4, and I spoke about it, is remember it's not about just study, work, and retirement anymore. It's about multiple things coming together, blended in the same model. So these are some of the career choices that I want to talk about. I'll take 5 minutes more in order to expose you to this most famous theory and therefore how you can discover your ikigai. I think ikigai, as you know, is a very old Japanese concept, and it comes from a village where the average age of that village is 110 years. Sounds abnormal, but that's the truth. That they have written this book, all the people in this village together, where they said that you can live a content life if you reach your ikigai. Now, what does ikigai mean? Ikigai is actually the summation of 4 circles. The first circle is, do you know what you love? Second one is, do you know what you're good at? The third one is, do you know what you can be paid for? And the fourth one is, do you know what the world needs? Now, if you can actually combine these 4 parts, which is actually a passion, profession, vocation, and mission, you would have reached ikigai. So whenever you are in a career, ask yourself these 4 questions. Are these 4 questions being satisfied? Am I in something what I love? Am I in something what I'm good at? Am I getting paid enough for it? And does the world need what I'm doing? And therefore, maybe you can reach very close to your ikigai. Very importantly, and therefore I'm kind of helping you now eventually to link with your passion to your career. First is start with the right perspective. I mean, I'm curious to ask, Reetika, have you ever gone to a restaurant not hungry?
Not really. It's
Sounds odd, right? Why would you even go to a restaurant not hungry? Then why do we sometimes join jobs where we don't want to work? So I think starting with the right perspective is important, irrespective of the job you have decided to work for. Imagine this is your dream job, at least assume that for the moment, and try and find out areas in that job that you might fall in love with. And that's true for relationships also, right? Some relationships are chosen in life, some relationships just happen. So starting with the right assumption becomes important. And therefore, that's the first rule. Start with the right perspective. If you take up a job, try and find out why you can fall in love with that job. And maybe you will find your passion there. I know people who have worked in the tech space and say, this is my passion. Never worked anywhere else and has no clue what's going to happen anywhere else. Right? After they work in 3 more jobs, they come back to me and say, e-commerce was my passion. EdTech was just okay. Now, if you don't expose yourself enough, you will not know. And once you expose yourself, have the right perspective. Second, get out the metal detector. Now, what does this mean? When you've been in an airport going for boarding a plane, they'll check you with a metal detector, and sometimes in your pocket they'll find out something where the metal detector goes keek, right? Now, what basically that means is your passion is like that small metal in your pocket. You need to know, where does the metal detector bleep? If you are aware of that particular point, then you would not confuse it with everything else happening around it. Right? I had a friend who said that I like teaching children in slum areas, and that's my passion. And therefore that's what I would want to do all my life. He did it for 6 months and then started saying, "Nahi yaar, I think I'm not able to match up with the lifestyle." That was also my vision. So he started teaching anywhere. It doesn't matter whether it was children in a slum area. And then he said, "Nahi yaar, teaching sometimes is all the times is okay, but I think I like teaching only concepts of sales and marketing." And eventually started teaching concepts of sales and marketing, and then started enjoying what he was doing. Now imagine the shift it took from feeling ye to acha lag raha hai to eventually finding what you really you are passionate about. So get your metal detector. Look for the umbrella. Very important, right? All of us like multiple things. So for example, if I ask any one of you, what do you do? Maybe you'll say, I like sleeping, I like friends, I like going out, I like social media platforms, I like EFGH. Now, finding the umbrella means, can you combine all of that and make a career out of it? Right? And therefore, can you combine all of what I just said and think of a career options that kind of encompasses everything rather than leaving something out? Imagine you jot down everything that you love and then try and see kaun se job mein ye sari cheezein aata hai. Discern between a hobby and a profitable passion. I think very early I felt that I can sing well in about 4 or 5 people gatherings, but as soon as I thought that I'll make it into a career, I realized that that may not be the right choice. And therefore it's very important to understand that, is it something you like doing alone, or you like doing for 10 minutes a day, or something you can actually get paid for? And that difference becomes important. Expect the mutiny. I think anyone you ask who has followed their heart will tell you the first few months, first few years were not easy, because there's going to be revolt from your rational part of the mind. Forget rational part of the mind. Your friends, your family, people around you also might come back and say, oh, you had a safe option. Why did you start following your passion? That sounds so awkward, right? But so therefore expect the mutiny. There are things inside you and things outside you are going to stand against what just happened. And lastly, find the limits of your bravery. I think someone famously said that if you jump when you're following your passion, the net will appear from somewhere. And therefore, it's never going to happen that you are always being safe in the decisions that you take and your passion will just appear and say, okay, now you can catch me. You will have to kind of leave the shore to find out from the sea where is the next island going to come from. And therefore, finding the limits of your bravery will become a very critical part of who you are in terms of the passion that you're exhibiting. So kind of summarizing all of this, answering some of these questions will help you come really close in terms of linking your passion areas into the career options that Reetika was talking about. Firstly, I think you have to answer questions like, I strongly believe in. This will help you define your strong beliefs and therefore your values. Second, you have to ask, I am good at. Think about things where you have got appreciated for without being asked for it, where you want to do things for free, you are not even looking to get paid. Third is, ask questions like, I should be known for. A favorite question I ask people is, who will cry when you die? And therefore, what will people talk about when they come to your obituary, right? And therefore, talk about, okay, this is how Shavik was. You must have some control on what they're going to talk about that day. So that's a vision of your personal brand. I should be known for. Last two, I think you should know who is your audience. I think who is going to be important for you. Everyone can't be your audience, and therefore your audience becomes important. And lastly, what are your touch points? I will show up at these platforms, these occasions, and therefore this is going to extend my personal brand or my passion areas even. So I'm going to end here. I think all of this kind of links back to the fact that the two most important days are the day. The first one was not in your control when you were born. The last one is you find out why. And if you have reached anywhere close to finding out why, as Mark Twain says, I think you have done some service to your life till now. It's 7:55. So I'll open up the questions. Depending on how many questions we have, we maybe can extend for 3 to 5 minutes. First one, I think Reetika Palak asked, and I'll allow you to answer if you wish. Do you think entrepreneurship is also coming up big time post the pandemic?
Yes, it has. and I can relate it to homestays now, because a lot of people realize that they can convert their, home stays. Like, if I'm from Himachal, to be honest, I have a home in Himachal, and we also thought of, because we are not able to visit and travel there, why not convert that as a homestay? So that was an entrepreneurship that we can think about. It's like, it will give someone a peace of mind in terms of traveling to a different location, and it will give us profit in earning as well. So it's like, that's what I think as an entrepreneurship. But yes, uh, during pandemic, some business which did not actually which did well, like food, Zomato picked up, Swiggy picked up. Though Swiggy had a layoff, I understand, but Zomato really picked up well, because people were sick, and people were not able to cook, because some people could not cook at all. And so this is when, Zomato and all, they just had their thought around it and delivering food. So it has certainly picked up. And if I not say entrepreneurship to lens, but thinking of future, even for the established organization. So relating to CVN, we were badly hit at during pandemic, because our in-person and social events got cancelled. We had a huge revenue loss between February 2020 till May 2020, right? It's when that is a time when our technology team worked on evolving the product to a virtual platform. And August 2020, we did a Event Connect on a virtual platform. That was our first showcase. And we got, I think, more than 100% of the revenue that we could have thought of losing it. It's because of the turnaround that we thought about. So it was being entrepreneur from lens. It was an entrepreneurial lens that we should move to a different platform if we have to survive in the market. So it has certainly, entrepreneurship has certainly been part of as one of the core areas, that I can look at post pandemic also, how people can evolve in terms of their business, in terms of their career, in terms of their choice of the, work that they would like to. Right.
Thanks, Reetika. I think I want to add one thing here. I was thinking about it, called a phenomena called the Great Resignation, that has come up in America recently. All of you can also kind of Google and read about it. It says that a lot of people are planning to quit their jobs and look for more meaningful roles, or start something of their own, because they realize that the world is changing. And when there is such big change happening, there are always opportunities and chances for new things coming up and being successful. And I think a lot of churn therefore is being seen even in the large tech organizations, and entrepreneurship is a natural outcome, like Palak is asking. Palak is also asking how to not confuse passion with something that you just love in general. I think I would answer that, and Reetika, you might want to add. I think the day you realize that you can do something for hours and hours and hours with no expectation in return, I think that's the difference between passion and what you love in general. I'll take the example of Sachin, my favorite example, where he actually practiced from one match to another match to another match when he was between 11 to 17 years old. All throughout the day, he used to bat for 10 to 11 hours a day, and when he came back, he slept off. And when he woke up next day morning and again went back to practicing, and his practicing was intense. It was not something which was easy. It was intense all throughout. Now imagine if it was something he loved in general. One day, 2 day, 3 day, fourth day, when he was doing it for the 11th hour, it would become difficult. But if it is something that you really want from the bottom of your heart and you don't have any expectations in return, you don't care, then you keep doing it without anything that you want in return. So that maybe is one great way of differentiating it. And yes, of course, you can have multiple areas of passion. The umbrella theory that I spoke about, can you club all of those areas of passion into maybe one profession, is something you can look at. Even if you don't, maybe you can pick up the priority one.
So I think I just want to add there, Debojit, is passion is different from a hobby, right? Hobby is something which is short term, and passion is something we're looking at long term, right? Because we would like to continue. And I can slate with an example of our CEO, Reggie Agrawal. He's a lawyer by profession. Okay, and he used to hold different consortiums on inviting CIOs and CTOs of $100 million companies at Washington, and he used to organize this event using manually. So that's when the idea came to him, why not have a software which can organize this event? And it's been 21 years that Steven has been founded. He's so passionate about this software, this industry, and we are the market leaders in this industry. So when I look up to him and I see his passion, I can relate it to myself, that why I love recruiting, because I am not frustrated talking to 10,000 and 20,000, 30,000 candidates over 17 years, maybe more than a lakh, I would say, right? Because the number of hiring that we do. But that's my passion. I don't mind working 12, 13 hours when it comes to recruiting. But if you give me something or technology side, which is not my passion, I might try it for 1 hour, 2 hours and give it up, because that's not my hobby or that's not my passion. But recruiting is my passion. So I can completely relate to it.
Right, thanks, Reetika. Anumita is asking, when one wants to do two things that are totally different from one another, yes, can be done one after the other, but the second career option would then be delayed. What to do then? How to choose one? So I'll start, and then Ritika can add. Anumita, I think firstly it's very important to kind of build pros and cons of both the career options. Now, firstly, obviously, you're able to link it to your ikigai. Very important question. Do you love it? Are you good at it? Can you get paid well for it? And does the world need it? If the answer is yes for both the options, all four answers are yes for both the options, then you have to kind of move forward. Then you kind of build a pros and cons chart, right? And how does the chart look like? My success in the next 3 years, 5 years, 10 years in option A, and then 3, 5, 10 years in option B. My exposure in the next few years in option A, and then next few years in option B, right? Kind of organizations I'll work for again in the next few years. Put down all of that for both the options and then try and compare. I would say don't try and go behind two things at a time. If you can spend a few months right now to decide one, it's a more focused approach you're taking, because then you're not thinking you have a backup option. People don't succeed because they keep having backup options with them and they're not going wholehearted into one thing. When I said when you jump, the net will appear. You can't jump thinking that there is already 4 or 5 nets. Even if I fall, I'll not get hurt. That's not how passionate people talk. So spend some time, choose one, and then go passionately behind it. If you fail 2, 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, dekhenge, life is long. But don't even go into that thinking what happens if I fail, and spend time thinking about one.
And also important is prioritizing. So if you think that what passionates you, you need to prioritize that accordingly. You can already do 10 different things, but it is also important to prioritize.
Yeah. Shavik, you have a question you want to ask?
Yes, sir. Actually, I just wanted to understand the pyramid that you showed from achiever to mastery. So, my question is, what should be taken care, because it's a big shift if somebody is moving from achiever to a mastery phase. So, what the person should take care of in particular to do well in that phase as well, in mastery phase as well?
So are you, if I'm clarifying the question, are you asking how to move from achievement to mastery, or how to do well in mastery phase?
No, I'm asking it because see, it's a big shift in life. Definitely, what you were doing as being an achiever, you might or might not do the same thing to be successful in mastery level as well. So what should we take care in particular when we are moving from this phase to that phase, so that we are successful in the mastery phase as well?
Fair. Thanks for asking, Shavik. I think firstly, in terms of the movement, it's very important to first stop thinking you have to always prove a point to everyone around you. Failure is okay. Once you get into the mastery phase, you'll have to reach a point where you're open to failing, as long as you are trying new things. So that's number one.
Mm-hmm.
Second is you are looking to make sure others succeed, and as a natural result, you also succeed. So you're not directly trying to always make sure you succeed. You're trying to make sure others succeed, which could be your team members. Normally people in the mastery phase are managers, so they have small or large teams. If they succeed, naturally the manager succeeds, right? And when they can succeed, if they're empowered enough, if they have the right tools to succeed, if they have the right pitches to succeed. So look at ways in which your team members succeed, so that naturally you also succeed eventually. And thirdly, I think mastery phase will require a lot of confidence, self-confidence in the fact that if given a challenge, I will do it better than anyone else around. But I don't have to every day do it and show to everyone that I'm good at it. So that more than confidence, it's reassurance of the fact that you know you're good at it. You don't have to be uncertain about it, that what am I doing well, was I fine, am I actually able to deliver, etc., etc. That reassurance shows. If you meet a very reassured leader, you will see that person is not trying to necessarily come to you face to face and impress you. The person knows that they are aware of what they're talking about, and therefore just them being reassured will make you also feel that this is a very stable person. So normally people in the mastery phase are very stable. They're not trying to prove a point in everything that they say.
Right. And one last question, this is a little bit different than my last question. The thing is that you mentioned one thing about hobbies. Okay. Now, if I talk about myself, my hobby is dancing. I love to dance. Okay. And how can I relate that? Like you mentioned a very valid point over there, that when you are moving from achiever phase to mastery phase, these hobbies will help you. So if I talk about my case, I love dancing. How that thing will help me to just take an example, if you can just clarify on that part.
Yeah, very good question, Shavik, and you have asked an exact question actually. So if you can spend half an hour for your hobby, which is dancing, either watching or actually dancing yourself, then every day, Shavik, you know that you are going to achieve that half an hour of happiness and confidence, because you know that half an hour in the morning or evening is reserved for dancing. So when you go to work, you are not trying to say ki today's target was, let's say, 5 lakhs of revenue, and if I didn't do that target, I'm extremely demotivated, because something else is motivating you, right? It's a very sensitive topic to understand, but then you're not constantly being harsh to yourself, or because of the day's achievement at work, because something else is keeping you happy, and therefore you are self-assured that okay, aaj nahi hua 5 lakh, kal 10 lakh ho jayega. And thus you're not kind of killing yourself, because see, as soon as you start kind of blaming yourself, your next day's performance also suffers. But a hobby kind of keeps you being in a stable state of mind.
So hobby, we may take it as a cushion, like a punch bag. Like if you are not able to do in that thing, if we invest, we are able to keep ourselves at ease, and we start afresh, anew, a second day. Kind of in this manner, we should understand this.
Yes, it keeps you motivated.
Right.
You don't need professional motivation. Let's put it that way. Right? You don't need your manager to say, Shavik, you have done really well today. And then you say, hello, now my day is good. That's external motivation, right? Why can't you find motivation from inside?
Right. Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks, Shavik. I think we'll call it a day here. It's 8 or 9. We have the next session coming up, very interesting one, where we are going to talk about B2C sales and marketing. This is customer sales and marketing. Sagar is going to join us. Sagar Sharma is one of the senior members from GSK, has been working there for 11 years and has worked in sales, marketing, and in various functions. Right now, heads the sales and marketing function for APAC for GSK. Across around 2,000 people across India and Asia Pacific countries. Sagar will be joining us live 7 to 8 p.m. next week. Look forward to having you all there next week. Also, Reetika, thank you very much for joining us today. It was wonderful to learn about various emerging careers and how we can actually link our passion to them.
Thank you so much, Debojit and Palak, for this platform. And I look forward for more interaction and joining other sessions as well.
Thank you, Reetika. Thank you, wonderful audience, for joining us on a Saturday evening. Have a fantastic weekend.
Bye, everyone. Have a good weekend. Take care. Thank you, everyone.